When I step up on a diamond, 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 diamonds on my wrist. When I step up on
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the flagship morning show on the Freight Coach Network there. Lost my train of thought. Here we are. It's Tuesday. We are live every single weekday, you guys. So 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central. And as always, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. We break down 3 industry articles. This is brought to you by transportation professionals for transportation professionals. There's no theory here. Everybody who's on this show, we are in the day-to-day. We are in the industry to provide education and insight to help you navigate and succeed in any freight market that's out there. Before we jump in, as always, you guys, this show is brought to you by my friends over at VHub. Asset reallocation is here. It's the present in freight. It's not the future. It is the present. You need access to trailers as a broker. As a carrier as well, you need to have access to these things. So again, right now, here's your daily reminder. You get paid to do these things. Like, that's the thing. Like, they're not like, this isn't for free. You get $1,850 to move brand new dry vans from Utah, Paragould, Arkansas, and Glade Spring, Virginia, you guys. And that's on top of the revenue you gain by putting freight in there as well. So that like legitimately could pay for the majority of your fuel going out of Utah, because it's about like 1,000 and probably 900 miles up there into Canada. So again, like that takes care of your fuel. That takes care of a portion of it out of Paragould as well as Glade Spring, Virginia. And then also we have trailers down there in San Diego looking to go up to Spokane, Washington, as well as going over to Dallas, Texas. So again, you guys, it's all about adding that revenue and keeping that freight moving. And my friends over at VHub can help you out with that. Visit vhubapp.com. Stacy Steen's already in the audience. You guys can give her a shout. She can help you out, as well as my friend Xavier Campos. Got a very special guest for you guys today. Again, we are transportation professionals. That's who I bring on. I got my man, Matt Laird, here today. Matt, what's going on, brother? How are you?
Man, it is a good day in the freight industry, buddy. It is a good day.
It is. What's going on? What's good out in Oklahoma, man? Are all your trucks moving today?
Man, I've got everything moving. We're busy. We're still making money. It takes a little longer to find the good loads, but everything stays on the road basically every day. So our loads have changed. Our entire footprint looks a little different, but we've managed to find a good spot to play, and our sandbox is working.
How did you guys pivot? What did you guys jump into?
And we just shortened our loads up. So we were doing, out and back, hurry, get back home. Now we're more, we're willing to get hotels and let our guys just hang out for a day or so, enjoy their lives a little bit, and then put them on something good. We're not rushing around trying to find the best thing. Mid-pandemic, it was, the supply chain's falling apart. Everybody needs something now. Now we're going to make sure that they need it, and it's not just another cookie cutter lane. We're looking for the only lanes that make money. We're not gonna work for free, and we're not trying to rip anybody else off either. I mean, when the fuel's outrageously $6-7 a gallon, sometimes you can't just drive around for fun. No deadheads and no idle time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They haven't even released the new fuel prices yet. That's how they're probably afraid for the national.
They're looking for an extra digit to put in.
Yeah, exactly. They had to rewrite the fucking algorithm to be able to write it a little bit higher. So the average is still at $5.71 a gallon. You guys, national average out there. We're also at day 52. Yeah, day 52 of the Freight Coach Tally of us having a parking and facilities issue in this industry. And as well, you guys, just this constant reminder, I'll stop talking about it when drivers stop sending me pictures that it's an issue. So again, talk to the people who are actually out in the industry and not somebody who's reporting on something, myself included. Talk to the people who are in the industry. I'm out there doing my due diligence and talking to them as well. Also, again, like when it comes down to fuel and trying to control your costs, my friends over at Trucker Tools, which is a free app for drivers to use, they have fuel stops in there for your routes. So whatever lane you're running out there, they can pull up those fuel stops along the way to see who's got the most cost-effective fuel pricing that's out there for you guys. We got to give some shout outs to the audience. David, good morning. David Molscon. I probably botched your last name there, man. I'm sorry. Casey, what's going on, brother? Sonny Sharma, good morning. Orange shirt gang in the house. Stacy Steen, she's here. She's ready to take your VHub inquiries. Laura, good morning, Laura. And then LinkedIn user, aka Matt Fink. I'm assuming good morning to you as well. And hey, his episode got released this morning on the podcast platform, Coffee with a Freight Coach, and he's a wealth of knowledge, man. Wealth of knowledge. And he's somebody who's been on all sides of the industry. He's driven. He's been in brokerage. He currently is one of those people who, I'm not going to say what his role is, but it's the person we go after all the time for business. But he provides a ton of insight and knowledge for people when it boils down to it on getting customers and then growing with your customers and the importance of that. Because, like I say all the time, Matt, anybody can offer a service, but very few can actually execute upon that service offering.
Yes, that's true. I see that a lot, man. I see that a lot.
Yeah, that's the thing is a lot of people love to like say that they can do something or they'll talk about it, but very few actually execute and then effectively execute on top of that. And, again, like I think that the market being what it is right now, there is never going to be a greater opportunity for you guys to squeeze out your fucking competition than right now. Like this is that moment.
We've had some interesting loads lately. We've done some cross-dock stuff, we've never done before because either trailers broke down and they don't have nothing else or somebody's abandoned a load. We've had to cross-dock trailers to pick up loads and salvage them for other brokers that literally couldn't get it moved. This is stuff that I've never ran into before, but it's a thing. I mean, we're making a list of where the cross-docks are at. So if a broker calls us freaking out, we can kind of help them or shipper find somewhere to cross-dock it and get it on one of our trailers.
Dude, absolutely. You should, his name is Matt Fain. He owns a company. He's a co-founder of a company called Pop Capacity. And they they have warehousing locations and everything listed out with their capabilities.
We need to reach out to him then because it's a thing now. I mean, people are running out of money. People are running out of maintenance. It's an interesting time in the industry where the newcomers that came in 17 and 18 are still doing okay because they bought right. But the 19, 20, 21s are they're struggling. I mean, nobody's making enough money to pay them huge payments.
No, definitely. And I think that's like the fundamental reason why we talk and we do these things is to help people avoid this in the future and let them know the realities of it, that when the market's high, it doesn't stay that way. Like how you operate in a down market or in a changing market when your pricing is down, that's the exact same way that you should operate in an up market and then just bank, pay off your debts, become debt-free or as minimal as possible and have those cash reserves built up and ready to go. Because like shit's expensive. Like it's expensive even when it's not overly fucking inflated like it is right now. An engine rebuild, that's like, for a transmission, it's like 15 grand for a transmission rebuild.
You can get up there for sure, depending on what's wrong with it.
Yeah. So that's the thing is it's like, from your perspective though, Matt, what's a solid cash reserve for an owner op to have at all times? Is it 30 grand, 25,000?
Man, if you look at kind of how the private air space works, right? So if you have an airplane, you know exactly what that thing costs to operate, and you keep a bank account that's going to be this much per month and per hour. If you can figure out what your costs are per hour or per mile, I mean, whether it's 15 cents or 12 cents or 11 cents or something, and just put it in an account. So maybe there's not going to be a $40,000 line, but if you were able to put 12 to 13 cents for every mile into a savings, I think you would be fairly caught up whenever that time comes.
That's
if you want to rebuild an engine, even an end frame, you're going to spend 40 grand before you get that thing out, plus all of the lost time. So you're not only going to have 40 grand, but you're also going to still have insurance payments and everything else while the thing's sitting in the shop.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had a guy hit a piece of metal that flew off the truck in front of him this week, and we spent $4,200 on rims and tires.
Jesus.
So it's just, you're going to see some costs. I have been blown away, especially with what it costs now. I mean, I talked to a guy this morning. He needs a sensor for one truck, and they're talking 6 to 8 weeks to get the sensor. So now he has a truck going to be down for 2 months. He said it was $77 sensor.
That's absolutely insane. Casey, I agree with you wholeheartedly. That's the way it fucking seems. And to me, I think like right now is, trying to look at it from a different spin. There is a great opportunity for you to start a business right now to, like, if you're listening to what Matt's saying about sensors, for example, or like a financial management tool specifically for drivers about how to, funnel in your after-tax revenue or your money and create that savings account for maintenance and everything else, and to create that slush fund that's in there. I mean, I think that there's a massive opportunity that's going to come from a lot of this if you take it that way, or if you listen to some other people out there, just fucking quit. But that's not what you're going to get on here. We're not about fucking giving up on this. We're here about keeping people in business, to say the least. Let's jump into the first article, Matt. What do you think? I think,
man,
what's up?
It's interesting, to say the least, especially with all the news coming down the line about the American railways are reducing diesel.
Yeah.
What's going to happen when they're, Canada's now gone on strike. The Americans, seems like we're a few weeks behind. I mean, looking at like the trucker freedom convoy thing, was it 4 weeks later, America decided to do the same thing Canada did? If we see that here, the American railroads could literally shut down the trucking industry, and the trucking industry runs the world. So it's kind of a hot button issue. I mean, you wouldn't think that, trucking's super important, but the trucks can't run without the trains.
Yeah. No,
so
absolutely.
it's pretty scary.
And so this article, you guys, was over from FreightWaves. CN, Canadian Railways, confirms that IBEW members are on strike. And then it's the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. They went on strike on Saturday, and that the CN has deployed a contingency plan that allows it to maintain a normal level of safe rail operations against Canada and service to customers as required, the railways said. While the company is disappointed that they remain committed to finding a resolution to continue to encourage the IBEW to end its strike through an agreement through binding arbitration. And the union did not comment on that, but it goes on to say, that last week that the strike, which went into effect on Saturday, would affect approximately 750 employees in Canada. And it also said unresolved issues are predominantly related to wages and benefits. That's the thing, is it's like, this is the stuff that I see that this is the concerning stuff, because the rail is where a lot of shit is moved on. A lot more raw materials are moved on the rail than it is through OTR, through domestic truckload and stuff like that. And then when you have something like this happening, I mean, you're right, we're probably just a couple weeks behind, because what's going to happen is their U.S. counterparts are going to go on strike here. I would assume that their U.S.
The scary part here, it's not even the railroad. It's some key person who's running one piece of the railroad, and they don't have any workaround. I mean, we're holding the entire railway hostage because of the electrical portion. So even it's scary to think that one small key demographic of employees or lobbyist group, or in this case, the employees, just can shut down the entire industry, which shuts down the entire country.
Yeah.
It's a bad deal.
No, absolutely. And then U.S. operations are involved in ongoing negotiations over a new labor agreement. The National Mediation Board, there's a fucking board for everything. Last week offered arbitration to the freight railroads and the unions, ending a week of negotiation. If arbitration isn't accepted, the parties will enter a 30-day cooling off period, after which President Biden will appoint a board to look into the matter and provide recommendations via a report. So in broken down layman's terms, they're just adding another 4 months on to all of that shit if they're appointing a board to look into it and provide recommendations via a report.
That's just the U.S. side as well. So that's not the U.S. employees have to agree with whatever's said in Canada. Plus, you've got international laws to deal with. This could be an ongoing issue.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then, and furthermore, like, as of my latest research, the stuff going on at the ports isn't resolved yet either. With it's up in Oakland, right? Is where that strike is going on. But yeah, it's the International Brotherhood of electrical workers. It's a labor union that represents approximately 775,000 workers. It's an electrical industry in the United States, Canada, Guam, and Panama. So there is a presence here in the United States. So it is only a matter of time before it will affect us and everything. But yeah, it's, these are the things that I don't want to say like keep me up at night, but these are the things that I pay attention to. It's not necessarily, oh, the spot market's falling or shit like this, because freight volumes are still there. But like, this is a critical component to this, because, a lot of stuff is, even when it's shipped in from overseas and imported, it's loaded onto rail containers from there and shipped out internally and everything else. So this could be a major thing. And, they have a contingency plan for this, but that like normal volumes will be affected. They won't come out and say it, but I will guess that normal volumes will be significantly affected by this. So, again, check out that article, you guys, freightwaves.com. CN confirms IBEW members are on strike. This next one, it literally fucking falls into effect with what your buddy's going through about that chip shortage. This one was from fleetowner.com. Fleet suppliers must prepare as shortages continue. And then it goes on to, as we reflect on the first part of the year and assess the near-term future for the trucking industry, the supply chain remains at the top of our minds. And then it goes on to say that at the National Lease Maintenance Managers meeting, Rob Garcia, as well as Sean Story, shared their thoughts on the state of the trucking industry to attendees. They believe the supply chain issues leading to a product and component shortage will continue for some part with no end in sight. And their views are supported by findings from the NTT Data's 3PL study. And then it goes on to say that there is some good news, though, for the trucking industry. Both Garcia and Story believe the increased use of technology will provide more market intelligence and encourage supply chain agility. I'm just going to go out and say,
I don't see the supply chain being very agile. So I would be interested to see that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I got to beat to the tune of this, that this shortage is caused by international shipping delays. That's a part of it, because if you look at the chips, you look at the sensors and where they're manufactured, again, back to this thing, there needs to be a shift in goods being manufactured in America. I think that, for me personally, you need to look at this from a cost per unit perspective. And yeah, the purchase price might be one thing, but the delays and the shortages are going to add up significantly to the point where companies are going to say, fuck it, we're going to remanufacture here in America, because we can't afford to have, any company out there, you will go out of business if you don't have a product to sell. If your tangible product is not available, people will say, fuck you, and they will find a solution. So bring your shit back here to America. Not
near shore. If we got to do Canada or Mexico or whatever.
Yeah.
If it's in Mexico, I'll fly down there, have a margarita, grab the part, come back. Much easier than getting to China.
Well, that's exactly it. It's like removing that international component of it, and having that, because you can have direct truckload access to any major manufacturing city in Canada, as well as down there in Mexico. So again, there needs to be a very hard look at bringing these jobs back. I want to see them back to America, but at least nearshored back here into Canada and Mexico to avoid a lot of this stuff. I personally think that there's going to be a major, you know what, Matt? Fink, you're right. Even better solution. Reshore the damn supply chain. Fucking right, man.
Yes.
Bring that shit back.
I think, even if we did, Mexico would be ideal. That solves that. Plus, we're immigration issue, right? There's a lot of those people that are looking for a better job could stop in Mexico and work there, right? They don't have enough workers. There's plenty coming.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I see your point there. Thank God for trucking, but I also have to say, man, it's if carriers remove the broker component from this equation and have the direct shipper relationships, that avoids all of that stuff, and me personally, this is that education piece, and to Matt's point earlier about knowing your costs and changing your business strategy in these times is going to be vital to that success. And, I'm not saying that there aren't people out there who fucking gouge, because that there are, but that's a free market. And that same argument could be made when people were charging $9 a mile over the last 24 months when, rates were at $5 a mile. and stuff like that. So I think that it's the unfortunate cyclical nature of this industry is what you're seeing right now. It's not fair. It's not right. But I think that elimination of and just going direct into brokers or into shippers is going to help a lot of these instances. Yeah. So that is federal gas tax. We'll get to that, Anthony. We got to jump over here to the last article. Again, that one was from Fleet Owner, and it was talking about fleet suppliers must prepare as shortages continues. And then this last one is also from Fleet Owners, fleetowner.com, and it's industry's ability to meet demand still limited by the supply chain. And it goes on to talk about Russian commodities remain locked out of Western market. Ukraine remains besieged, and China continues to struggle with COVID lockdowns. It goes, the battle against inflation is global. U.S. inflation continues to accelerate. When asked what this all means for commercial vehicle reports, he explained, well, classes 5 through 8 productions exceeded lower expectations in May, and build plans were largely unchanged. Supply chain risks remain elevated. And again, it's just like, to me, it's back down to having ample supply and inventory, and Matt Fink goes on to say that, inventory is a dirty word in the supply chain lexicon, but wonder when there will be a fundamental change to, supply chain operations to address global volatility. I think like that is what needs to be done. Like, again, I know I was talking about bringing those jobs back to America, but most importantly, we got to fucking like this. The global reliance is, I think, an issue in the sense that as a country that is established as the United States of America, we should be reaching out to the global network because we can, not because we have to. Like, we should literally have ample supplies of fucking everything here. That is my opinion. That is my stance. And I will not deviate away from that.
Yeah, I'm pretty concerned about this speaks a lot about the, Russia and Ukraine. We're going to see a huge problem once we start, give it a few months and we see China walk in Taiwan. That's where all of our semiconductors come from, is those two countries. Tokyo builds a little bit, but basically Taiwan and China, when those two get locked up, it's going to be terrible. So I would say anyone that's in the semiconductor business or uses that, they need way more on the shelves than what they think they'll ever need.
Yeah.
Because this is going to be locked down. I mean, I've seen where there's some really large semiconductor plants going in, but they're like 36 months to just even get started. So, I mean, yeah, that'd be great. 2025, we've got semiconductors being built here in America, but what about the period between now and then?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. And I think that people, again, to me, it's about, yeah. And to Tracy Barrett's point there, we are too vulnerable. And I think that is what is all being exposed right now. And again, we need to look at this as an opportunity. And yeah, to Matt's point about 2025, I think that there needs to be a overall shift on this. We need to remove our foreign dependence on a lot of this shit. Like, we need to bring these, we need to have a very hard look in the fucking mirror is what needs to happen. And Washington needs to actually do something about this instead of fucking talking about it. And that's what needs to happen, is there needs to be some severe fundamental change going on. And it's just gotta stop. Like, we should never be in this. Like, we shouldn't be in this fucking position as the United States at all, under any circumstances.
Yeah, I do like the America First idea. Yeah. But what we've got now, I mean, we can go as political as you want. Right now, we're in the one world order, right? We want everybody to have everything, but it doesn't work because we have to be the police. So we have to at least have enough money to pay our bills. We have to have enough energy to run our trucks and tanks and trains. And it's just, we're at an interesting point in the life cycle of America. So
yeah,
hopefully in the next few months, we get a good boost in the other direction.
No, absolutely. And I mean, I'm going to be optimistic in this sense that I think that a lot of people are realizing that now more than ever. And I think, like, with that baby formula issue that happened, I think that was like the major eye opener to a lot of people. Like, whoa, wait a second. Why is 80% only at one facility? And then furthermore, I love how, what's that fucking, I don't even want to mention their name on here. That 3-letter news network that said, oh, 44,000 pounds of that's a fucking truckload. Really? Like you're trying to celebrate one truckload of baby formula? Get the fuck out of here with that stuff. You know, but like at the end of the day, again, this industry is going to be fixed internally from us. All right. Like no outsider is going to come and fix any of this shit. We collectively as an industry have to provide this education to people, and we got to shatter these traditional silos, man. Like I know, thank God for trucking, and I know where he's coming from. You know, like that's those silos that we're talking about, that fucking shipper against broker, against carrier, against everybody. Like we are the fucking transportation industry. And I know that this perfect utopia of kumbaya isn't going to fucking exist, but we need to start looking at it from a fundamental standpoint of how we can improve things and improve operations to set people up for success instead of chopping them out at the fucking knees.
Yeah. So I see a lot of, in my industry, you know, just refrigerated freight, as a carrier working between brokers and shippers. The thing I'm seeing is some of these big brokerages are coming in and just undercutting the ones that we've been working with. You know, we've got 6 or 8 brokers that we work with, and they've all called us. They're like, we can't even get the loads anymore. Yeah. Because they've come in and undercut it, and they've killed the market. But the reason they did it was because all the doom and gloom in the news. So all the news is like, oh man, there's no trucks, or there's no loads for the trucks. So then the brokers thought that meant that they could go in and undercut everything. Well, we're finally seeing at this point that a lot of those shippers are handing back the loads to the brokers that were in there previously, because the big abbreviated brokerage houses can't cover the loads that they came in and quoted. So after about 3 to 4 weeks, they're going right back to where they were at, and the rates are coming back up.
So that's a natural cycle of it. I will say this right now. That's a natural cycle of it. And, you know, again, it's like, I see it from a shipper's perspective, because hey, this broker's coming in at, 18 cents a mile cheaper, or what, the hypothetical example here, you guys, they need to explore it. But at this moment, and just like any time this market shifts happens, to Matt's point, you're just going to have to wait 3 weeks, because that person who pushes that rate down to get to the point where they're trying to fucking drive the rates down on drivers, they will exponentially fail on this freight. And it's only a matter of time before they will go back. It's a natural cycle. All right. You can't work your way around that, unfortunately, because at the end of the day, shippers have a budget to adhere to as well. People have budgets that they have to adhere to. And it also is, to me, it's the importance of knowing how this industry actually operates, as opposed to how a couple of headlines want to paint a picture. Is, to Matt's initial point of when we first started talking, he changed his business plan up. He's still getting paid good money on loads that are out there. He just had to pivot. All right. He had to reassess his strategy, and that's just what you need to do. And again, right now, I think personally, this next market shift that's happening is going to be the greatest opportunity for you guys to stomp on some fucking throats of your competition, because people are going to push it too far. To Matt's point, they're going to hold out just a little bit too long, because greed is a very real thing, you guys. People will fucking sell their own parents to make $1. All right. And they are going to hold out too far. And then coupled with how this industry has been over the last 2 years, shippers, I think, again, this is just my opinion, they will try one more time to see if this will change. And when it doesn't, when it bites them in the ass and it comes back, that's when you're going to start to see an uptick in prices. That's when you're going to start to see it, because they can't afford to not have shit on their shelves. All right. They can't. So execution, and that's what it is. That anybody can talk about a service. Execution is always going to be the hard part. All right. And if you can execute for your customers, you can execute for your brokers if you're using brokers. And then brokers, furthermore, if you have a fucking carrier that is executing for you and showing up every single day, fucking reward them and do the right thing and build out a sustainable network to operate off of. You don't have to play this bullshit spot market. All right. You don't. It's a fucking joke. All right. That's what it is. You want consistency. That's the great separator. Consistency. All right. Consistency to your shippers and consistency to your carriers. And that is how you grow out your book of business. I know that's a little bit of a soapbox, but frankly, I don't fucking care. And that's not for everybody.
I mean, that's what we did. We went direct to shippers. And then recently, like in the last 6 or 7 days, we've had those brokers that we were working for back last year, or, whenever, start calling us back like, hey, this shipper gave us our loads back. You still want to do them? And then we're back in. They're not ever hitting the load boards.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, when I was brokering, 85% of my freight never saw a load board. Never. It went through direct relationships with carriers, and it's not easy. All right. It's not fucking easy, but it becomes easy when you are out there continuously selling your freight. Just because Matt delivers a load for me doesn't mean I don't reach out to him ever again. I'm hey, when are you available next? Where are your other trucks at? When can I get you back on this load? Again, it's that constant sale. And then it's me texting Matt every single day. Hey, this is what I have. Does this align for you? Because otherwise, Matt's not going to know that I have more business for him. As a broker, as a sales rep, when you're selling that service, you need to be the one initiating conversation. Don't be fucking lazy and post it up on a load board and wait for the opportunity to come to you. Create your own fucking opportunity.
Yeah. And I would say that the carriers that are using the load board, just DAT in particular. So I use DAT, or my dispatchers use DAT. So pay for the added service, so you know what the carrier to broker and the shipper to carrier spot rates are, so you have negotiation power there. And the number, the 15-day average, that's a starting point. That's not the top, that's the bottom.
Yep.
And the thing is, if everybody kind of figures out what their cost is, and that, hey, I can't run to Washington for less than $4 because you're going to deadhead out all the way to Northern California right now, don't do it. Don't go up there and lose money because your truck's sitting. Well, that truck sitting is free compared to that truck running for a loss. So
no, absolutely.
That's what we've decided. I mean, if we're going somewhere, say for instance, if we're going from Oklahoma City to Seattle, we know that we have to go to Seattle and then head back to Northern California to get a load. So that's what we quoted at, and we don't do any less. And they're not going to sell it more than once. They may sell it to, an owner operator, but after he realizes there's nothing coming back, he'll never take that load again. So you don't get them all, but you'll get one. Eventually they'll figure it out.
Nah, man, absolutely. And that's the thing, is the more and more we do this show, you guys, I will literally teach you guys how to read freight markets based off of my experience. All right. That's what it's going to boil down to, is it's going to be about providing that education for the owner operators and even the brokers too, you guys. Again, this is about education and progress. That's what this is all about. The Freight Coach Network is literally going to be built to fucking shatter these silos of this industry and teach people how to do this job effectively so we can all prosper in any freight market. That's what it's all about. That's it for today, you guys. The audio only version of this will be uploaded onto the podcast, Coffee with the Freight Coach platform, as well as the video replay is available over on my YouTube channel. Again, it's a Freight Coach Morning Show coming to you live every single weekday between 8:30 a.m. and 10 Pacific, 10:30 Central. We'll be back tomorrow. We're not fucking quitting, you guys. We don't take days off. We are here to provide education and insight to keep the 97% of you in business that is small business and preserve and live out your American dream. I appreciate you guys all so much, and we'll be talking to you soon.